Remember when your kids were little and they thought if they can't see you, you can't see them? Like you're getting on to them and they just shut their eyes. Like, I can't hear you. Yeah, you just closed your eyes. You're not deaf. But they think if they can't see you, then you can't see them. Or maybe they're playing hide and seek when they're little and they hide somewhere where their face is covered, like the curtains. Did you ever have a kid do that? We always had a few, well, Landon, I won't call him out, but anyway, I had one that would stand behind the curtains and think because he couldn't see them that we couldn't see him. But he forgot that his little legs were just right underneath the curtains. We could see him right away. And somehow, I think a lot of us, we do the same thing. And you know, as we get older, kids get better at hiding, right? They hide, you can't find them for a long time, and they laugh. I think it's funny. My mom said when I was a kid that I would do that a lot. And I waited until we went to the department store before I would decide to play my game of hide and seek. And I would go hide in the middle of a clothing rack, the circular ones, you know, and I'd be right there in the middle, hiding from my mom that she couldn't find me, and then somebody go to take something, a jacket off there, and I'd be like, hi! And they're like, whoa! Where did this kid come from, you know? One time I actually shut the store down. They shut the store down, they said, because it was closing time, and they still couldn't find me. Every employee's looking around. Finally, they opened up a cabinet, and I had crawled in a cabinet, display cabinet, and shut the door and fallen asleep on a pile of jeans, waiting for them to find me. And I was comfortable. I went out. I was asleep. And my mom, of course, was relieved. You know, we get really good at hiding. Let's be honest. Hide and seek is not a game that many of us grow out of. Because many of us play our own version of this game, and we think we're playing this own version of this game with God. We think we're playing the same game that, you know, I get in a certain mood, and I don't want to be seen by God. I'm in one of those moods, I don't want God to see me, and I don't want to see him. We think sometimes God doesn't see me. We've been hurt, God doesn't see me. Rejected, God doesn't see me. I've blown it in my life, so therefore God doesn't see me, and I don't want to see him. We try to be unseen, and maybe we just feel that way. Maybe we just feel unseen. Maybe we feel like, does anybody really care? Does anybody even notice me? Does anyone notice my struggle? Does anyone notice that the struggle is real? Can I get an amen? But I got good news for you today. The good news is this, that God sees you. Hear that today. God sees you. And as we continue in this God Can series, today, let's say this out loud today. We're going to talk about God can see me. One more time. God can see me. God sees you. And we're going to study this incredible story of Hagar. She's on the run. She's running from where she was at. She's running from her trouble. She's pregnant. She's alone. She's on the run. She stops by the brookside under a tree to rest. And she's not even serving God. And God has this encounter with God. And God calls out to her, and he says something to her. Let's pick it up in verses 16 and 13. And then as God calls out to her by name, then she declares this. Thereafter, Hagar used another name to refer to the Lord, who had spoken to her. She said, you are the God who sees me. She also said, have I truly seen the one who sees me? God found her on the run. God found her in the middle of her trying not to be found. She was running from her problems. She was running from the drama. She was running from her trouble, and God finds her, and God sees her. And what's incredible about this is we understand that she was not from the tribe of Israel. She was a servant. She would have been an Egyptian servant, so she would have been serving a totally different God. She had not been raised in the ways of God. And for her to hear God's voice and recognize it, This had to be ground shaking for her. Truly, you're the God. She don't even know what to call him, but you're the God who sees me, and you know me. You're the God who sees me. And that's what she named him, El Roi, which means the God who sees me. Hagar's story, though, is one that is really crazy. I want you to write this down first. Before we get into this, I want you to see this, that God understands you. God understands your past, your present, and your future. God sees your blessing, and God sees your victory. So if you're going to understand all this together, write this down. Number one, you got to understand that God sees where we are. God sees exactly where we are, even if we think we're going unnoticed. Even if we are trying to avoid God, God sees us. Look at verses 7 and 8 now. The angel of the Lord found Hagar beside a spring of water in the wilderness, along the road to Shur. The angel said to her, Hagar, Sarai's servant, which is Sarah and Abraham, Sarai's servant, where have you come from and where are you going? Where have you come from? Where are you going? Come on, Cotton Eye Joe, right here. Where are you going? Where have you come from? Where are you going? And she answers, I'm running. I am running. Come on now. I am running away from my mistress, her boss, Sarah, she replied. So we see this amazing thing happening here. And can we just say this story is next level crazy? This is crazy. If we can be really honest today, if this story was happening in modern times, Netflix would love to have this reality show. Abraham was a wealthy man, but man, he has some drama happening at his house. This is next level baby mama drama right here happening. Some of you think your baby mama drama is big. This is big time. This is happening. And God gives Abraham a promise. Abraham, remember, he promised that him and Sarah would have a son and that they would be the father of many nations. Only one problem. They are old and they have not ever been able to conceive a child, more or less a son. And to make things worse, now God gives them a promise that says they're going to have a son, but not only have they not been able to physically conceive, now she is past the age to be able to do this. She's way beyond childbearing years. And God gives the promise that they're going to have a son, and Abraham would be the father of many nations. Now, what happens? Next year she gets pregnant. No, it doesn't happen. What happened is they have a promise, and a whole decade goes by. 10 years goes by, and nothing happens. She ain't getting any younger, and Abraham isn't getting any younger. And so Sarah has this great idea. Sarah has this great idea, and she's like, hey, Abraham, I got a great idea. How about you sleep with my maidservant Hagar? She's young enough, she's healthy, she could give you a son. How many know, first of all, this may be one of the dumbest ideas we've ever read in the Bible? Dumb. What could go wrong with this? And Abraham's like, well, honey, I just want to make you happy. We don't see him even questioning, do we? So don't get on Sarah. Abraham knows this is dumb. Abraham's smart by this time. He didn't get to be his age and not be a smart man. He knew this was a recipe for disaster, but instead he's like, anything, happy wife, happy life, anything for you, honey. Sure, I'll sacrifice. And so Abraham sleeps with Hagar, the servant, and she gets pregnant. She becomes pregnant, and Hagar starts all of a sudden, she starts getting salty with Sarah. Now Hagar has got Abraham's son, and she started the show. And instead of Sarah being the boss, now Hagar was like, I'm the one with the child. I can just see her I'm the captain now. Come on now. She's like, there's a new boss in control. So Sarah and Hagar are now fighting for control of who's in charge of this family dynamic. And things, what could go wrong with that, right? Let's pick it back up here. Let's look at this in verse 5 and 6. It says, then Sarah said to Abraham, this is your fault. It was your idea, Sarah. Abraham should have said no. He should have said, honey, I know what you're thinking, but this is probably not a good idea. Have you really thought this through? He was so quick to jump at the opportunity that they both made a great mistake. And then, of course, he's going to get blamed for her idea. Some things never change, guys, right? Someone say amen. All right. So Sarah says to Abraham, it's all your fault. Then she admits it. I put my servant into your arms, but now that she's pregnant, she treats me with contempt. Can you just feel it? The Lord will show you who's wrong, you or me. Abraham replied, look, listen, woman, she's your maid, so you deal with her as you see fit. Leave me out of this. I just did what you asked me to do. You take care of her. And then Sarah treated Hagar so harshly that Hagar finally ran away. So we see this mess all happening here. We see things happening. Abraham and Sarah tried to shortcut God's blessing, and through their own trying to shortcut God's blessing, they're bringing own strain into their own marriage. And now they took an innocent maid who was working for them, who I'm sure they really loved, and brought her into the middle of the mess. And now it's going cray-cray because someone decided to shortcut God's blessing. See, look at this. I know we're kind of slow sometimes, so I spelled it out for us. Let's look. This is a recipe right here. The recipe for the blessing. The recipe for the blessing is this: God's promises plus God's timing equals God's blessing, right? But the recipe for disaster, which many of us end up having, is God's promises that we know, and then we try to intervene and shortcut on our own, and it always leads to disaster. I don't know why my life is always a mess. Could it be? We try to shortcut God's promises. We try to shortcut God's blessing in our life. And can I tell you, the blessing comes with the right timing of God. The weight of the blessing can be very heavy. And God could look at you and say, I'm going to bless you, but if I bless you the way I want to bless you, you're not ready to handle that kind of weight yet. So I got to put you through some hard seasons in your life to build up some trust, to build up some physical and spiritual strength, so that when you get the blessing, you can handle it and not blow it. It's not that God's blessing's not there. It's just not the right timing. See, be the boss, they said. It will be fun. Until you get an answer from more people. Get a bigger church. It'll be great. More responsibility. More bills to pay. More people to take. It all comes. It's a blessing, but it's a heavier weight. Do you get it? So for many of us, we have got to make sure that we are ready for the weight of the blessing. Too many of us try to shortcut. How many know there's a wrong way and there's a right way? Any contractors in the house want to say amen? If you want something done right, do it right. It may cost you more in the beginning, but in the long run, it will last. It will stand. You may be able to get it done cheaper with shortcuts, but it will quickly show up And the door that you thought was opening to you now won't even open or close because you took too many shortcuts to get the door open. See, oh, come on, I know I'm not preaching to anybody here today. It's kind of like when we know, like God's promised me a spouse, and I know God's got that special person for me. They're not a believer yet. So I'm gonna evangelistically go after him. Okay, I won't go there, but you know what I'm talking about. Instead of waiting for the right man of God or waiting for the right woman of God, we get our own. We get in a hurry, don't we? Wait for God to bring you the right one. Don't settle. Don't settle for less, thinking you're going to be shortchanged. No, wait for the blessing. And then number 2, write this down. God sees where you're going. God sees where you're going. Look at verses 9 and 10. The angel of the Lord said to her, return to your mistress. Go back to Sarah and submit to her authority. Then he added, I will give you more descendants than you can count. God sees where you're going. And he says, I will give it back to you. God asked Hagar to go back to the difficult place and submit back to the authority she was running from. That's crazy right there. But God says, I've got a blessing for you. I got a reward for you. But first, I want you to go back and walk the difficult road. First, I want you to go back and submit to the person who pulled you into this mess. Wow. See, sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes we think our blessing is God taking us out of the hard path, the hard place. But in reality, God's plan is for us to walk through the hard place. Oh, nobody wants to hear that today, right? Pastor Gene, you're supposed to tell me it's all going to be easier. No. Sometimes God asked us to walk in the hard path because it's there he can develop us. It's there that he can build our faith, and it's there he can prepare us to handle the weight of the blessing that will follow. And sometimes we got to submit to people we didn't think we wanted to submit to. It can be hard sometimes. Sometimes God's plan, let me just tell you this, okay? Sometimes God's plan is not the easy road. We always look for the easy road, don't we? It's our nature. I do, you do. We all want the easiest path. I mean, we look at it. I study, and look, what's the easiest path? If we're going to climb the mountain, I'm going to pick out the easiest path. If we're going to make a trip, I'm going to go the easiest way. But sometimes God won't let us go that way. Sometimes he calls us to walk the difficult path so that he can prepare us for what's ahead in the blessing. There's been many times in my life God made me go back to the things I was running from. There's been many times in my life God asked me to go back and face the difficult people I wanted to avoid. There's been many times in my path, God made me go back and apologize for things I was not even wrong about. It wasn't fair and it wasn't easy, but it was the path I know that God was asking me to walk because he was trying to do a work in me that would lead people to a different level. And it would require a constant walking through criticism. It would require constantly walking through and being judged. It would require constantly being misinterpreted. It will happen as a leader. And I can tell you that is not built in 1 year. That's not built in 1 month. That comes over decades of walking faithful through the hard seasons of our life. God knew that, so God has us continually walk through so he can build us up for the promise. We have to remember the promises, though, when we go back. Can I tell you that? When you go back to the hard season that God asks you to go back to, you got to remember God's promises. That's how you get through the hard seasons. God promised Hagar, hey, I know you thought this whole thing was just going to be great. I mean, when Sarah and Abraham, I'm sure, when they recruited her to give them the child, this is going to be God's son, a blessing. We're going to all celebrate. We're going to live together, one big happy family. You're going to be known as the mother of the golden child, and he's going to go on, and you're going to be father of many nations, and you're going to be the mother of many nations. You're going to share in this joy and blessing. And all of a sudden, she's alone, pregnant, and running now for her life, just getting out of there, mistreated. But God says, if you'll go back like I asked you to, he says, I'm going to make your descendants great. Now, he told her, he goes, because this whole thing's crazy, it shouldn't have happened that way, your son's going to be a hard one to handle. He told her, your son, he's going to be a handful. I'm just telling you right now. But I promise you, your descendants will be great. And you also will receive the blessing of multiple generations of descendants that will come from you because you obeyed God as well. See, come on now. I'm going to tell you, God is not a respecter of just one thing. God's promises follow all of us. It's just not for the nation of Israel, but God's got a blessing for you and I if we'll walk it out. So how do we do it? We remember. We remember God's strength when we're going back. We remember God's strength that when I am weak, he is strong. I remember today that when I'm feeling weak, and oftentimes I do, I can admit to you, sometimes I feel weak, and I feel like, man, God, I just don't have what it takes. God, this is out of my control. I'm reminded often that when I feel weak, God is at strongest right there. God's at his strongest. His word says, when I am weak, he is strong. So I daily remind myself, God, you are strong, I am weak. I feel weak, but my spirit knows that you are strong, and you are leading, and you are guiding, and you got what I need ahead. We remember God's protection. I remember when you're in that place, you got to remember God's strength and then God's protection. God says, I will always be with you. We're reminded that he would never leave us nor forsake us. Well, I'm reminded today that his word says, no weapon formed against you will prosper in the name of the Lord. I remember the protection of the Lord. I'm walking through the hard season. I'm going through a hard time, but God is going to be with me all the way through. No weapon that's coming against me will tear me down, but it will only make me stronger because my God is the God of what? The power in my life. I remember God's protection, and then I remember God's victory. Come on, I remember that God gives me victory. That greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. I remember that God is the God of victory. And when I'm going through battles in my life, I don't just run, but I stand firm. I walk tall because I understand that this is not a battle against flesh and blood. Too many of us make our battle. There was something happening here. The battle wasn't Hagar, and it wasn't Sarah, and it wasn't Abraham. There was a spiritual battle going on that the enemy was trying to abort this whole plan for God to father the nation of Israel out of Abraham and Sarah, and so they could have very easily destroyed God's plan. And so they understood that they were messing it up, and so they had to remember God's victory in their life. See, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. So when I'm getting upset at people, I realize my battle is not with people. No. My battle's not with you, your battle's not with me, or my battle's not with people across over here, or somebody at another church, or the person at my job, or my boss who's a pain. My battle is really not with people. The enemy wants you to think your battle is with people. But the battle is always a spiritual battle. He says we don't wrestle with flesh and blood, but with principalities. We wrestle against the powers, against the spirit of darkness. It's a spiritual battle. So how do I fight my spiritual battle? I don't fight people who are flesh and blood. I fight my spiritual battle, and I get here and say, God, I'm going to lift my hands in worship. I'm going to worship you in my hard season. I'm going to worship you when I feel misunderstood. I'm going to worship you even when I don't feel like it. God, I'm going to worship you. I'm going to walk it out even when my body says I don't need to do it. Even when my mind tells me I'm wasting my time. I understand something. If God is for me, who can be against me? And I understand when I begin to worship, I'm doing something in the spiritual realm. I'm releasing things. I'm fighting my battles with my worship. I remember God's victory. Church, come on now, remember, we read the back of the book and we understand something. We win. Victory belongs to us. And then we remember God's reward, that God's got a reward for all of us. And the only way we lose out on the reward is to quit, to give up. Don't quit. Don't give up. Don't run away from it. Stay the course. Hold steady. Hear me today. Hold steady. Come on. Hold. The reward is there. God rewards those who diligently, consistently stay with him, who seek him. Some people today, you feel like it's over for you. Some of you walked in today, it may be your first time here, or maybe you've been coming a while, and you feel like, it's all over for me, Pastor. It's done. My life is over. My meaning is over. My purpose is over. It's all over for me at home. It's all over for me at work. It's all over for me and my family. And can I just tell you, if you're still alive and breathing today, it's not over. God's not done with you yet. Stay faithful. God sees you. Hear me today. God sees you. God sees you when you're trying to make payroll for all your employees and you don't have the money that's going to come out on Friday. God sees you. God sees you whenever it's hard at home and it's getting very difficult. God sees you whenever your critics come out and they try to bring you down and to bring you and tear you apart. God sees you when you apply for job after job after job and no door is opening up yet. He sees you when you open up the app on your bank account and it's so low that the app starts singing to you, how low can you go? Come on now. Anyone ever been there before? You know what I'm talking about? You're like, man, God, do not let them put that bill through today. Please. Please let that automatic payment just go out next week instead of Friday. Hope it makes it till Monday night. Come on now. Oh, I guess I'm the only one that's ever been there. Okay. God sees you when it's negative. He understands. God sees you when you've been unfriended and blocked by people over something really silly and little. We get offended so easy. God sees you when you're struggling to provide for your family. God sees you when you're working all that overtime and that second job just to provide. God sees you when you're burying that parent or that loved one you never thought you'd have to do. God sees you when you're struggling to be the parent you never had. God sees you. God sees the battle and God sees the victory. God sees the blessing and God sees the reward. Don't give up. God sees you today. No matter what you're going through, don't try to run from God. Don't try to hide from God. God sees you. The last thing I want to give you in closing today, let's look at it together. We want to learn to stop running and trying to hide from God. And I want you to do the opposite. I want you to learn to run to him because he sees you, Hagar. He sees you in the middle of your drama. He sees you in the middle of those who are trying to bring you down. He sees you in the middle of your mistreatment. He sees you when it's not fair. He sees you when you're alone and pregnant. He sees you when the struggle is real. He sees you trying to provide for your family. He sees you, he sees you, he sees you. So run to him. Run to him. Run to him. Run to him. That's what the woman who did with the alabaster box did. That's how he told us about in worship. She ran to him. The Bible says she had no name, but the woman who was a great sinner. That's what it referred. I think the Bible did that so that you and I could feel at home. Because we can just be honest today. Probably all of us feel that way at some point, right? I'm just a big sinner. I'm just a big sinner. And she ran to him. She didn't try to hide. She would have before because of all the criticism. All the people who would have talked about her. She didn't care. She walked in with her head high and poured out her worship unto the Lord because he saw her. And I want you to understand today that God sees you. No matter if you've blown it, no matter if you're struggling, no matter if people are talking, God sees you. Father, we thank you for your word, which teaches us who you are. You are the God who sees us. That's your name, the God who sees us. Not only are you our provider, the Lord our provision, but God, you are the Lord, the God who sees us. Even when we don't feel like we've been seen or noticed by anybody else, God, you see. Even when we feel like our plan has been wrecked, God, you see, and you have a better plan. You have a new plan. We just don't give up.